So we got an article here from Game Informer. Bethesda outlines 2024 plans for Starfield, including expanded ship customization and more. Earlier this month, developer Bethesda Game Studios revealed that Starfield subreddit that is also was working on new ways to travel, mod support, and more for game. Oh man, new ways to travel. You know what that means? The people that were bitching that the tiles were too small, that wanted vehicles to drive around the tile that was too small, they might come back and not play the game because the tiles will now be smaller because you're in a vehicle. Or you just travel faster, okay? The company has expanded on its 2024 plans for Starfield in the new end-of-the-year update, including additional ship customization. It says, quote, "We'll be adding new ways to travel, and you'll now be able to access city maps." Ooh, it's like putting a scoreboard in a multiplayer game. While exploring the major cities, the update reads, "For those who love shipbuilding, we also will be expanding on ship customization with ship decorations, new shipbuilding options, and more." Do you know what I read when I see that? What's going on, BX? You know what I read when I see that? "For those who love shipbuilding, we've got microtransactions for you coming to the store next year. We also will be expanding on ship customizations with microtransactions that you'll also be able to purchase and maybe earn, and new shipbuilding options and more." That's what I hear when I read that. Quote, "We're also excited to be adding all new gameplay options with the new settings. You'll be able to alter your gameplay to allow for an easier or more challenging experience that will expand beyond the normal difficulty settings. This will also you to easily customize carrier capacity, cargo, access distance, ship manage, vendor credits, and how do you suffer inflictions, new survival mechanics, and more." You know what I read about this? This is the read between the lines that I read, is that we're going to be a little slow releasing content, so we're giving you, the player, the ability to change the difficulty and customize it so you don't get frustrated, because we will not be releasing so many things at the same time. We would like you to do it yourselves. So challenging experience will expand beyond the normal difficulty setting. These will also make it easy to customize carry capacity, because you're like, like I was complaining yesterday, I'm like, why am I only carrying 30 of this stack and 50 of this stack and 80 of that stack? They're like, you could change the capacity, the cargo access distance, so you don't get upset that you can't access the ship. The ship damage, the vendor credits, how you suffer inflictions. You can change all that yourselves, okay? Bethesda says that these updates will begin rolling out in February, with the team targeting updates roughly every 6 weeks. I don't like that they put that out there. I know there's 240, 250 people working on the game, but now that you're saying roughly every 6 weeks, what I read there is Battle Pass, Season Pass, whatever you want to call it, an extra thing that they're going to be able to, you can customize your base and your ship and your character and whatnot. And we did know that was coming in, right? Now, obviously, they're not saying that's coming in, but we did know there was some sort of store down the line. I mean, you would have to be living underneath a rock if you didn't know that. Beginning early next year, Starfield will be getting its own exporter and also have access to new creation kit, and the update read. The update ends with Bethesda teasing Starfield's first expansion, Shattered Space, which is due out next year. It will feature a new story content, new locations, new gear, and more. Elsewhere in the update, Bethesda shares some interesting statistics about Starfield players in 2023 so far. So 22 million days played so far across all players. 40 hours is the average playtime per player. Okay, so that's good, the average person. But then again, I have 167. So if one person has 1 hour, that still counts as 2 people, because they have 1 hour and I have 167. If you cut that in half, we're at 80. So technically, you could put 2 people with 1 hour, and so we'll see. 26 million hours spent building ships, 1.9 million planets visited, 4.5 million outposts visited. Most dangerous faction is the Ecliptic, ranking up 12.2 million deaths. The most dangerous life form, ranking up 1.7 deaths. The Battle Meal multi-pack is players' favorite meal, eating 18.3 million of them. The combat tech Beowulf is players' most trusted weapon. 1.6 million people are Starborn players. I would assume that's probably like 3% of all the players that played. Starborn players means you have to beat the main story, right? The most used power is the Sense Star stuff, and 5.1 million players have crossed Unity. Okay, so there you go. There's some stats for you. For more about the game and Game Informer's Starfield review, there's also read about it. The biggest launch ever for Bethesda Games. After the check out the story about the Starfield. So there you go. So there's some stats for you and what they're bringing out in the future of Starfield. What you guys are saying in chat. Land vehicles. Farmer says, can I just point out something funny? Starfield did the same thing that Cyberpunk did, but you still stand for it because Game Pass. What? Wait a minute. You're saying that I'm not giving it fair criticism, Eclipse? Or I'm sorry, Farmer? You're saying that Starfield did the exact same thing. The exact same thing as Cyberpunk 2077 CD Projekt Red. The exact same thing. That's what you're saying. You're saying that Todd Howard came out and said, we're not releasing a broken, buggy game like those other developers, and the game will be this phenomenal thing at launch. You're saying Todd Howard said that exactly the same as CD Projekt Red's guy who came out with an apology video apologizing about how Cyberpunk came out. You're saying that Starfield came out the exact same way where Sony stopped selling a game. Now, obviously, they didn't get this game, where Xbox stopped selling a game because it was broke, buggy, and unfinished and didn't want to sell any more copies. Is that what you're saying? The exact same. I need to rewatch the original trilogy as a Christmas tradition for me. I also did DVDs, so they're editing the Blu-ray. Can't stand the Blu-ray version. I don't like the extra stuff that they put in that Lucas did. I mean, it's his vision. He can do what he wants, but the best version, in my opinion, is the Laserdisc version. But for those who like shipbuilding, it's time to add space skulls and bones. People would flip. Didn't Cyberpunk rebuild the entire engine and add stuff, though? This is even possible with the type of engine Bethesda has. Let's see what else. I would like to equate microtransactions to paid mods. Yeah, that's exactly right, Saint. Carry capacity is a good sense. The game is service now. Best ongoing game 2024. That's right. Cyberpunk is the best ongoing game. It's a live service game. Are you serious right now? Did you play Cyberpunk when it first dropped? Because I played them both, and Cyberpunk was a mess. Cyberpunk 1, best ongoing. Does it really matter? By the way, no one go and waste your money to watch Aquaman 2. It's extremely terrible. Oh, did you watch it, Stealth? Bad. It's bad. Rose says, well, Xbox never stopped selling anything, no matter how. Hence Halo and Redfall. True, but the thing that Farmer's saying is it's the exact same that would happen with Cyberpunk. Starfield released in a poor state. Now they're promising tons of update. It's not even remote the same. You are correct that this game came out and it wasn't the most polished game, but it was the most polished game that they've dropped, and it might be in the standard of Battlefield 2042 and Cyberpunk 2077 and whatever else game you want to put out there, but it's nowhere in the same state as what CD Projekt Red did. Okay, CD Projekt Red, what they did is almost the same exact thing that No Man's Sky did when they were marketing their game. If you go back, it's not very similar. It's not very similar. If you go back and watch the videos of Starfield from last year when they were telling you what the game was, people hyped the game up in their own thing. I literally had a video talking about how the starship was just going to go up in a cutscene and go away, and that's what you're going to see 1,000 times over and over. Okay, so for people not to see that and go, well, I thought that was going to be, that's on you. Speaking of expectations about a game and hyping up something, okay, hence why I don't get excited for not many things in the video game space, right? I have a podcast with Sarge every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, okay, that you can watch us go, we'll see. Yeah, it looks good, but we'll see. I'm sorry for your lost time, Eclipse says. When Cyberpunk released, it was basically Cyberpunk, the Glitcher edition. There is no way. The only reason you say that statement, Farmer, is because you blindly love Cyberpunk, which is fine. I don't blindly love Starfield. I enjoyed Starfield. I played 167 hours. I played 168 hours in Diablo 4. I play a game because I like the game, but I don't blindly love something where I won't talk shit about it. I talk shit about Starfield just like I talk shit about any other game. The reason that you think that you made that statement is because you love, okay, Cyberpunk 2077, and you think it's unfair that I'm not comparing it to that game because I gave that game criticism as well. Well, the criticism for that game is completely different because it's for CD Projekt Red, not for Cyberpunk itself. It's for the company, not the game. Todd Howard overpromised and underdelivered as per usual. The difference is apparently people don't remember Cyberpunk for the first year was fixing bugs, nothing else. 3 years. 3 years, Eclipse. Todd Howard has overhyped every game Bethesda has ever made. Overhyping something. Any company. Doesn't matter if it's Todd Howard. Doesn't matter if it's Peter Molyneux. Doesn't matter if it's, I don't know, name another head of studio, okay? Doesn't matter who it is. Overhyping something is not what someone can do. It's what you can get from them when you're like, that's so... It's because you want it to be so good. Your expectations are so high that you disappoint yourself, okay? A person that's speaking up about something can say, be a hype, okay? That's his job, or their job, or her job, or whatever you want to say, okay? But to take that, that's on you after they do it, not on them. Dave Rose says, Cyberpunk was so bad, I still haven't gone back to it, kind of just lost interest with all the issues. And my issue, Rose, is because of what CD Projekt Red did. Not because of what Cyberpunk is, as the company makes the game, but what they did as a company. Just like you said, I've lost interest when they were doing it. I was super hyped for that game, until it came out and hit like a wet fart. So when did Todd call it game of the generation? Anyone who didn't call him a liar was wrong. Howard Molyneux, great comparison. See, hype men are hype men, right? Why do you think Todd Howard goes on stage and talks about the games and not other people? Dave Rose says, I hate Starfield. Well, I'll say at least it was a functioning game at launch. Cyberpunk was so bad they joked about it in Phantom Liberty trailer. Did they? I don't even know. I don't stand Cyberpunk 2077. I'm just criticizing your criticism. Well, you're criticizing my criticism, but you're not doing it truthfully, because the criticism I have is not with Cyberpunk 2077. It's with CD Projekt Red, and you're here long enough to know that that's what my problem is. If you were some new account that came into my stream, Farmer, and said something like that, I would be much different the way I responded to you than what you said and how I'm responding to you now. No offense, Travis, but you just had a Travis moment, Farmer. You criticized me for doing something I've never done. I mean, they didn't even let reviewers review the old gen copies. That's some scummy shit. I mean, he had no mic skills, but he was a great hype man to get any crowd going. Right. No offense, but let me offend you. Well, I know you're not going to get offended, Travis. What I'm saying, he just did a spurt out, type something before he thought about it moment. If Starfield wasn't free on Game Pass, would you still play it? I mean, it is free on Game Pass, and am I still playing it right now? Does that answer your question? Have you seen me play it on stream? I haven't touched it. But I also haven't touched Diablo 4 again. I also haven't touched any other game that I've done playing. I put 167 hours into it. How many hours do I have to put in to justify me playing a game and enjoying a game? What's that number? Hey, I keep the conversation going, so 300 hours must be a terrible game. 1,000 hours, that's when it gets good. You must have missed all the times that I talked shit about Bethesda when they released Fallout 76. You must have missed all those times. I think people paying for a game would have a reverse effect you're looking for. If people paid for it, they would have sunk costs and have a harder time putting it down. Potential. Yeah. Thank you very much for that subscription. Appreciate that. Fallout 76 was really bad. I don't feel like you're giving Cyberpunk 2077 the fair shake as you give Starfield. That's all. Because CD Projekt Red was a bunch of slying, scummy cocksucker. At least Bethesda, I know what I'm getting. Bethesda didn't lie to me. Bethesda didn't come out and hype the game up. On my stream, I knew what I was getting into. I said it over a year and a half ago what Starfield was. I also said I'm going to play Starfield because it's on Game Pass, so I'll give it a shot. I have CD Projekt Red's game of Cyberpunk 2070 gifted by my mod last year, and I never downloaded it on morals alone. Not the first game. Borderlands 3, okay? Never played it, never touched it, because the developers during that stage were a bunch of cocksuckers. Starfield is trending on Twitter, and you're talking about the game live right now. Coincidence? I think not. No one's talking about it, though, Stealth. No one's talking about it. The game that nobody cares about. It just really irks people. It really irks people. Big ups. Thank you for that. Appreciate the sub. Todd Howard lies every time he touches a microphone. He never came out and said we're releasing a game that's not broken, buggy. The fact that CD Projekt Red, I'm gonna hold that line. The company, not Cyberpunk 2077, CD Projekt Red came out, made fun of Bethesda and other games that came out broken, buggy, and said we're not doing that. See, it doesn't really matter what I think, Farmer, because they made all their money back for that game on day one and more. CD Projekt Red executives, we can't attack the devs these days, 30, or you will judge drum symbol. Wait, I missed that whole, let me read that again, Krebs. I didn't do it justice. The CD Projekt Red executive, we can't attack the devs these days, 30, or you will, right? Is that what it is? The game didn't create and release itself. CD Projekt Red did that. Right. And I, as my own person, didn't like the way it came across. We watched stream after stream after stream of Cyberpunk. I talked about how excited I was. I was like, oh man, this looks good. But I don't pre-order game, right? I don't pre-order game. So I didn't play it early. And then as the week occurred right before it came out, there was review after review. Oh, we didn't get these copies. They're not letting copies go. And then people are like, oh, it's a buggy mess. And you start watching all these. And I'm like, holy Christ. Cyberpunk at launch was better than any Bethesda. Sorry, couldn't say it with a straight face. Company screwed themselves launching bad on purpose. Thank God I was on PC at the time. Judged Christopher Judd and the Game Awards. I don't know where you're going with this, Krebsy. I didn't judge Christopher Judd. I thought his joke was fantastic. What do I think Bethesda could do to bring back players to the game? Unfortunately, big ups, I don't think they have to bring anyone back to any game because one, the game is a Microsoft first party title. Two, the game is on Game Pass. Okay. That would be like saying, how is Sea of Thieves going to bring people back? How is Forza Horizon going to bring people back? How is Grounded going to bring people back? Game Pass. Game Pass is their model. So anyone that's playing the game that's interested that has Game Pass goes, oh, what? Let me see. They just did an update, or they're going to do an update, or no, they just did an update for Fallout 76, right? 4 years later, still on there, right? People go back and try it out. Redfall, 6 months later. 7 months later, still on Game Pass. You're like, oh, let me go see what the updates are. So unfortunately, I don't think doom and gloom is happening. I don't think people understand, like, there's still people playing Skyrim. There's still people playing Oblivion. There's still people playing Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, right? Sure, it's not tens of millions of people, but there's still people playing that game. That game is out. That game will be there. And when an expansion comes out, remember, this is a single-player game. This is not a live service game, right? This is a make a game, put out the game, play it for an hour, play it for 100 hours, play it for 1,000 hours. Go to 1,000 planets, go to one planet. Doesn't really matter. Play the game how you want to play, okay? They're coming out with an expansion. Once the expansion comes out, once the mod support goes in and the mods start to, the mods will advertise the game by themselves. They'll be like, oh, I made a mod and look how great the graphics look. Look at the ass graphics on this character now. Oh, I put this thing in, right? And it builds up the hype of that game without Bethesda doing anything. Then anything Bethesda does, they're like, hey, we added what's the robot? Vasco, right? We added a skin for Vasco. They'll be like, oh, look at this. You see this? They're charging $10 for a Vasco skin in the mod store. That gets them hyped up as well. People write articles, people talk about it, and that's what it is. Bethesda's doing what Bethesda does. Like, there's no hiding what they're doing. They're doing the exact same MO as they've done with every other game they've ever come out with leading up to this point. The only difference is now this is sci-fi and it's brand new. It's the shiny new thing. I don't think they have to do anything. We're actually going to watch a video of Bueller News. He's doom and gloom. He thinks that the game can't be saved. Done. It's over, right? Which is weird to me, considering that No Man's Sky 7 years later flipped it around. 2042 made a better game. Cyberpunk 2077, who won Best Ongoing Game of the Year, which is just a big, I can't even say it with a straight face, okay? Won Best Ongoing Game of the Year, okay? 3 years after. So for someone to come out and say doom and gloom that Starfield's done, I feel like you're just like saying that to get that shock value out there. I do see Farmer's point though. Starfield's blatantly lied to your face over and over again, and Todd is particularly, but you don't call that out. Because he didn't lie to me. I knew what the game was, Travis. If someone tells a fib or a lie and I don't believe it, I didn't fall for his lie. I knew exactly what the game was when the game came out. I told you a year and a half ago that it was Fallout in space. And then everyone had to wait for the game to come out to go, oh man, this is just Fallout in space. I don't include myself in lying to me because I already knew what the game was. I didn't give myself expectations of what the game was going to be. Mo comes in. I forgot Mo's like Beetlejuice. Starfield. He's like, disturbance in the force. I gotta go to 30's. I gotta go to 30's stream. He's talking about Starfield. I don't think any game is ever done with time and people who are talented and have passion. Anything can be turned around. Yeah, but here's a question I have, Rose. If a player base is a player base, if that player base is 1,000 people, if it's 10,000 people, if it's 1 million people, right? Like at my earlier comment, it's the minority. The minority is what the fan base is of whatever game you love, okay? No matter what game it is, you're the minority. And if they make a game to make those people happy, who gives a shit if the people that are not interested in it are not interested in it? Starfield is doing updates every 6 weeks next year, apparently. Yeah, and I hate that they said that, because the one time they don't come out with 6 weeks and be like, they fucking lied. I hate when they put dates. It's not even just Bethesda. It's anybody that puts a date and says, oh yeah, we're updating Bungie did this all the time. Yeah, every 12 weeks we're going to be doing something. And they're like, we can't do it every 12 weeks. It's just impossible. I mean, I guess he did say 1,000 planets. He said 1,000 planets. He said 100 planets are going to have stuff on it. Everything else is going to be randomly generated, and you can go explore and see what you find, is what he said. And everyone's like, he lied. He said there was stuff on the planets. Like, we literally read an article. I think it was like in January or February. I was like, 950 planets are going to do nothing. And I literally criticized. I said, why are they putting 1,000 planets in this game? But then we have people coming in here saying, I'm not giving the same criticism to Starfield, which is just fucking mental. If Dying Light 2 launches on Game Pass, do you think it would also have a different trajectory? I think there's a fair comparison to be made between those two games. I don't know much about Dying Light at all. Dying Light 1 or 2. I found out the other day watching, we interviewed the Kingard, and he had a video on the Dying Light, and I found out the Dying Light was in early access for like 10 years. However, Bethesda does say, be that the bug update content, etc., and it can be pushed bug fixes every 6 weeks. Easy. We'll see. We'll see. Am I allowed to say we'll see? Is that fair criticism? I've said that with every game that comes out with a hype thing and they tell you something, and I'm like, we'll see. How dare 30 not shit on DC the same he does with Marvel? Loads, yeah. Yeah, I don't have the right to talk about Marvel. I put 1,100 hours into that game. I'm not giving it the same criticism as I'm playing with a smile on my face and shitting on the game at the exact same time because I'm a passionate fan about something they should fix, and it should be that way. God forbid I give criticism to Lego Fortnite that I'm enjoying, but I get the fucking management system in that game is horrid, and how they have signs that you can organize in that game is atrocious. I definitely put his foot in his mouth with that date because he's definitely gonna miss one. I know, Rose. When they put a date out like that, they're like, yeah, every 6. They're like, hell, as a content creator, I'm like, I don't want to promise I'm gonna do a stream this weekend. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna do a stream this weekend because I don't want to say I'm doing a stream and then go, oh yeah, I can't do this. The similarities between the two in the way that they launched, performance issues that was promised versus delivered, etc. But one launched on Game Pass and one didn't. I think what it is take Game Pass out of it because Game Pass is not a free thing, right? If it's a game that's like a free-to-play game like a Fortnite or Call of Duty or Apex Legends, anything like that, where you're playing a game and it's free to play, that doesn't get as much criticism because you didn't put anything up. The criticism comes with games that put a full-fledged game out, $70, $60, $100, whatever it is, and they start charging microtransactions and that they're broke, buggy, and unfinished. Okay, if a game comes out that's free to play and it's broke, buggy, unfinished, I think that game is just done. Hence why free to play games are so well received because they're so polished. Like Genshin Impact is so polished, and they sell you really cool cosmetics, and that's because people are like, okay, cool, right? So Game Pass is still a $10 entry fee or a $17 entry fee, whatever tier you were looking for. Yes, it's a smaller entry fee. So when people look at that and they're playing on Game Pass, if I have to pay straight up, like how much is Dying Light 2? I don't know. I'm asking, right? How much is Dying Light 2? For someone to already have Game Pass and then kind of sit there and go, well, I'm not going to play this game because of my morals or integrity or whatever. That's one thing. But if a game, you're not mad at any company and Starfield comes out and you're like, hey, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. I already pay for, right? I only pay for what I have, so I might as well try it. We're Dying Light, I gotta pay full price. Launched it was $70, but now probably 30 or 40. Yeah, there's a different thing. Like you could go out and pay for Starfield if you wanted to. You could have gotten the 3-day early access if you didn't have Game Pass and paid that full money. Now, the person, this is very specific now, the person that looked at Starfield that was hyped up and paid, what was it, $100, $250? There was like $300 if you got the pre-order deluxe edition, whatever it was, right? There was like a $300 edition, and then there was like a $100 edition or $90. It was $90 or $100 to play early access. It was like 5-day early access, right? If you didn't have Game Pass and you paid $90 and you didn't do your research or anything ahead of time, you're just so hyped for the game, you bought the game for $90, $100, $250, $300, whatever it was, yeah, you could be mad if it wasn't up to your snuff of what it was. But if you didn't buy the game and you didn't play the 5-day early access and you already have Game Pass, what's the harm? You're like, oh, I'll try it out. Like, I could play Power Wash Simulator. I could play, name a game, Gears, Halo, whatever, right? It doesn't matter. And I've been one to say on this channel that that's my point about Xbox. It doesn't matter if the game comes out broke, buggy, or unfinished. The first-party titles are on Game Pass, and that's what they're selling. So if you don't like that game day one, you can come back later. You're paying for the subscription service. You're not paying for the game if you're doing just Game Pass. So sure, if I buy anything, if I buy this controller for $70 and then it breaks within a month, I'm pissed. If I buy this controller at $40 and I get it at 6 months, I'm like, you know what? I got my money's worth, right? You see what I'm saying? Price has value, but it's different for everybody. If I pay full price for something and it breaks really fast, I'm gonna be like, what the fuck is this? But if I pay really small amount of something and it still doesn't work, you're like, it's all right. I didn't pay full price for it.